Greetings everybody, good to see you again. Welcome back to another video on the channel. As always, please do me the great favor to hit that subscribe button just down there below. It's helping me so much to grow the channel. I've had a wonderful a lot of new subscribers lately on the channel, and I am so grateful to welcome you all. You can also become a member of the channel by clicking the join button, and there are 3 levels of membership. On to today's video. What are we going to talk about today? The subject is all about Microsoft Purview, one of my favorite subjects, and we're going to talk all about adaptive protection in DLP and insider risk management. It's coming right up. Adaptive protection is ready to go within the Microsoft Purview compliance portal, but what's it all about? Let's take a look. You can see this card on my overview page in Microsoft Purview compliance portal telling me that it's all ready for me to start to use. What is going to be set up? Let's see what we're going to get. We're going to get an insider risk policy, risk levels for adaptive protection, and a DLP policy in test mode. We're being told that we can head over to adaptive protection to test it out and refine the features as needed to ensure adaptive protection minimizes the risk activities that matter most to your organization. You just know I'm going to grab that learn more there, don't you? I'm going to click on that. Hopefully it will open in a new tab for me. Yes, it does. What is it all about? It's going to help us to dynamically mitigate risks with adaptive protection. You should be warned, as ever, that this is one of those brackets preview features, which means it is subject to change, and we should be wary of that. So what's it going to do for us? Adaptive protection helps mitigate potential risks by using context-aware detection, helping to identify the most critical risks with machine learning-driven analysis of both content and user activities. We've got dynamic control to help enforce effective controls on high-risk users. There's the insider protection bit, while others maintain productivity. And automated mitigation. This sounds good. It's going to help to minimize the impact of potential data security incidents and reduce admin overhead. So, adaptive protection dynamically assigns appropriate DLP policies to users based on the risk levels defined and analyzed by the machine learning models in insider risk management. What a great bit of integration. With this new capability, static DLP policies become adaptive based on user context, ensuring that the most effective policy, such as blocking data sharing, is applied only to high-risk users, while low-risk users can maintain their productivity. The policy controls constantly adjust, so when a user's risk level changes, an appropriate policy is dynamically applied to match the new risk level. Let's take a look at it, shall we? Let's go to adaptive protection, and it's taking us right into insider risk management. So what have we got within here? We have got our adaptive protection dashboard right here, and a summary of current DLP policies being used for adaptive protection and a breakdown of risk levels assigned to users. Okay, so we've got 2 DLP policies created, no users in scope at the moment, and here we can see user assigned risk levels. We've got none at an elevated risk, we've got none at a moderate risk, and none at a minor risk. So that's not much within the actual dashboard itself. Let's take a look at these risk levels and see what it's all about. These risk levels define how risky a user's activity is, and can be based on criteria such as how many exfiltration activities they performed or whether their activity generated a high severity insider risk alert. So under insider risk policy, it's telling us that if this policy detects user activity that matches the risk levels that you define below, right down here, and the risk levels are included as a condition of a DLP policy, then the DLP policy will apply any configured actions to that user's activity, like restricting access to sensitive files. So on the drop down here, what have we got? We've got a data leaks policy, we've got adaptive protection policy for insider risk management, and we've got data theft by departing users. So we've got some choices there, but we're interested in the adaptive protection policy for insider risks. So let's define these conditions for risk levels. What have we got here? elevated risk level. This is the top level, and this is where a user performs at least 3 sequences, each with a high severity risk score, which is going to be 67 to 100. Okay, so we can make alterations to these risk levels here, but as you can see, but I'm going to leave this as it is. The moderate risk level, the user performs at least 2 data exfiltration activities, each with a high severity risk score. And again, we can make some different choices here depending on our needs. And the minor risk level, user performs at least 1 data exfiltration activity with high severity risk score, 67 to 100. And again, we can make some changes should we wish to do so. Not quite sure what the difference is from the drop down to the edit button here. Let's have a look. Right, okay, so when we click the edit button, we get more of a view here in terms of what is going on with this. So we're able to choose the criteria that the risk level will be based on and then define the conditions to control when the risk level is assigned to those users. So we've got specific user activity, and we can see here all those exfiltration activities, the high risk score is above, and so on and so forth. We have the optional checkbox here to assign this risk level to any user who has a future alert confirmed, even if the conditions above aren't met. Okay, so that's an interesting option. Then what we've got is the risk level time frame. This determines how long a risk level will remain assigned to a user before it's reset. The maximum is 30 days, so we've got some choices there. So we can save any changes we've made, but we've not made any changes, so we don't need to. Okay, users assigned risk levels. Okay, fantastic. So here we can see any users that have been assigned those risk levels. And risk levels will be assigned to users when that insider risk policy used for adaptive protection either detects user activity or generates alerts that match those risk level conditions. So we can learn here how to tune those risk levels. Yes, please, we'll take a look at that Learn article so we can include that. Let's take a look at the DLP policies. So here is a list of DLP policies that include the condition user risk level for adaptive protection is. And I got these set up when I enabled adaptive protection in my Purview portal. So we've got 2 set up here. We've got one set up for endpoint DLP, and we've got another set up for Teams and Exchange DLP. And risk levels include the 3 that we looked at: elevated, moderate, and minor. And if we go into these, we can edit those and take a bit of a closer look at what they're going to be doing. So let's do exactly that. Okay, so here we can see our name and description of our DLP policy. We're not assigned to any admin units here, so we'll just skip through that. And here we can see the locations to which we are applying the policy, our adaptive policy. And as expected, it's Exchange email and Teams chat and channel messages. We can apply this to other locations. As you can see, we could include SharePoint sites, OneDrive accounts. We've got a separate one for devices. We could choose instances. I've got to admit, I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to come back and have a look at what instances is. On-premises repositories and, of course, Power BI workspaces. Here we have our advanced DLP rules. So we've got adaptive protection block rule and an adaptive protection audit rule for Teams and Exchange DLP. Let's take a look at each one in turn, starting with the block rule. If we edit this, we can see exactly what this is going to do for us. So we've got our conditions here. A quick summary: when content is shared from Microsoft 365, sent in an email message, Teams chat or channel message, or shared in a SharePoint or OneDrive document with people outside my organization, and the user's risk level for adaptive protection is an elevated risk level, then it's going to restrict access or encrypt the content in M365 locations. It's going to block users from receiving email or accessing SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams files. It's not going to block everyone, though. It's only going to block people outside of the organization. We've got user notifications turned on, so we're going to notify users in Office 365 service with a policy tip when that occurs. We can attach a matching email message to the notification. That only applies to Exchange. We've got some incident reports set up all the usual sort of stuff that is relevant to DLP policies. So we could make changes here and tweak that if we wanted to. So that is the block rule. What is going to happen in the audit rule here? Let's take a look. Similar sort of principle, when content is shared from Microsoft 365, an email message, Teams, chat or channel message, or SharePoint and OneDrive with people outside the organization. And in this case, the user's risk level for adaptive protection is moderate or minor, then we're not going to be quite as restrictive. So in this case, we are not going to block. We're just going to take some no actions, but we could add actions here if we wanted to, but we really don't, because we'd just be recreating the other policy. Instead, we're just going to have some user notifications in the form of policy tips and so on and so forth. So really cool stuff. I like that condition that we can add into the DLP policy. So we're running the policy in test mode only at the moment. So this means that administrators, such as yourself, will be able to review any alerts to assess the policy's impact, and any restrictions you configured will not be enforced. Then what we want to do after that, once you're happy with those settings and want to go to the next step, I would encourage go to show policy tips whilst in the simulation mode. Then, and only then, when you're satisfied that it's doing what you want it to do, you can turn the policy on. The other action is to turn the policy off, of course. So after that, you can review and finish and submit. I won't submit because I've not made any changes there in the DLP policies, but that gives you an idea of what it's going to do. So the adaptive protection settings. So this is basically turning these on or off at a tenant level. So a nice little toggle switch there. And when turned on, adaptive protection detects users who match your defined risk levels. If those risk levels are included as a condition of a DLP policy, the DLP policy will apply any configured actions to that user's activity, like restricting access to those sensitive files. To maintain referential integrity, anonymization of usernames, if turned on, isn't preserved for users from adaptive protection who have alerts or activity appear outside insider risk management. Actual usernames will appear in related DLP alerts or Activity Explorer. Important thing to take note of. If adaptive protection is turned off after having been on and active, risk levels will stop being assigned to users and shared with DLP. And after turning this off, it might take up to 6 hours to stop assigning risk levels to user activity and reset them all. So pretty cool stuff. And we'll be able to see any alerts within Insider Risk Management that relate to users who trigger these adaptive protection DLP conditions. So there we go. That's what it does. Really nice stuff. One final thing, if we switch over from adaptive protection preview to policies, we can see that adaptive protection inside a risk policy right here. At the moment, it's got one warning on it, and that is because no alerts generated recently due to triggering event thresholds. So the triggering event determines when the policy will actively start evaluating a user's activities for risk. And this policy uses the following triggers, i.e., as we've already seen, user performs selected exfiltration activities that exceed the specific thresholds. So we can see here the policy settings at a quick glance. We can see what's going on with that policy. There's a user scope, the content to prioritize, triggering thresholds, policy indicators. And we can go ahead and we can edit the policy right from here as well to see what we wanted to do, fine-tune it if needed. And here we can see it's a data leaks DLP policy. If we go next through the wizard, we can go through and see its name. Include all users and groups in the policy. So we're going to be doing that. We're targeting all users and groups. You can actually go as far as prioritizing content, and this is a good idea actually to start with. You can prioritize content in SharePoint sites, sensitivity labels, sensitive info types, file extensions, and trainable classifiers. But I'll not change that right now. I just wanted to show you that that is something that you can do. The triggering event, we can choose a user matches a data loss prevention DLP policy. So you could select the policy from here, and it could actually be that adaptive protection policy for Teams and Exchange DLP, or we could base it on the user performs an exfiltration activity. So in this case, we can choose, as we have here, sending email with attachments to recipients outside the organization. You can see here that some indicators are not turned on, some are grayed out. That is always going to be down to licensing and or not enabling content elsewhere within Purview. So we've got our send email there. We can choose other indicators as well, such as downgrading or removal of label, and then exfiltrate, and so on and so forth. So triggering events, no DLP policy selected. That's because I switched there. So switch back to there. What we can do here is apply the built-in thresholds, which is recommended, or you can choose your own thresholds. So you can adjust these up and down as you need to and reset those to defaults. So let's leave those as the built-in thresholds. And then we can see the indicators that are used to generate alerts for the activity detected by the policy template that you selected. And again, it's highlighting that we can't choose some indicators because they're currently turned off in the organization, so that's fine. And we can see the relevant indicators there. We've got office indicators, such as sharing SharePoint files with people outside the organization, etc., etc. Device indicators, physical access indicators, and Defender for Cloud Apps indicators as well. So not going to make any changes there. Detection options. These advanced detection options are used to generate alerts for the activity detected. We have a sequence detection, which is a group of 2 or more activities performed one after the other over a period of 7 days that might suggest an elevated risk. Specific indicators are used to detect each step in a sequence, which are organized into 4 main types of activity, which are download, exfiltrate, obfuscate, and delete. So we can select all from here, or we can make choices that are available to us that are not grayed out. So there we go. And we've got cumulative exfiltration detection as well, and risk score boosters. So take the time to go through these and these indicator thresholds as well, where you can apply the thresholds provided by Microsoft specific to your user's activity, or customize your own thresholds. So there we go. That is the insider risk management policy, and we don't want to submit that because we've not made any actual changes there, but that gives you an idea of what the DLP adaptive protection and its integration into insider risk management is all about. So there you go, interesting stuff. I love how that adaptive level of protection is now baked in with insider risk policies that can alert and DLP policies that can take action to audit and restrict. I think that has a lot of potential. Let me know if you've played with it yet, what your experience has been with it, and if you see it being of value in your day-to-day activities, in your roles, in your organizations, and in the community. Wonderful. Thank you so much, as ever, for watching the video. Thank you for your support for the channel. I will see you again on another video very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.